Rick Horrow keeping score, always up on the biggest entrepreneurs in the industry as well as the industry itself. We understand that the sports business surpasses $1 trillion as we're around All-Star, Wimbledon, NFL camps, NHL free agency, NBA free agency. All that means dollars, but also means the ability to take the dollars and put them in new, creative, entrepreneurial situations. A Silicon Valley veteran and former venture capitalist who came up with the idea for Thews watching his two favorite football teams. Can't wait for this. CEO Warren Packard, how are you?
Hey, I'm great, Rick. How are you?
I'm awesome. So finish the story.
Yeah, I'm sitting down. I'm watching a Thursday night football game, the Bears and the 49ers. I'm from Illinois originally. I'm living in San Francisco, my two favorite teams. And, I figured this would be a great game. And so I'm watching. And then kind of like hour into the game, it suddenly dawns on me, this is one of the worst football games I've ever seen. And I love football. I love the teams. But, sometimes the teams just don't have the energy. And I was thinking to myself, if only there was a service that would have tapped me on the shoulder and said, hey, Warren, there's all these other great games going on. I mean, because this is a Thursday night in November. And, there must have been college basketball and pro basketball and hockey and all sorts of other stuff. And if only I had known other great things going on, I could have been more entertained. And so I thought about this for a little bit and started thinking, there's got to be a company that does this, and we're going to do it. And so I started Thews Sports so that we could measure the excitement level of sports, notify sports fans when great things were happening, tell them how to tune in. And then we're, all sorts of other things like automated highlight reels and creating that personalized sports experience.
And here I thought you had created a device that would fix the Bears' offense. My disappointment. That's okay.
Yeah, yeah, that's next year.
That's next year, and Mark Trestman tried, and he didn't, so that's next year for you. But the bottom line of all of this is that you have to stay one step ahead of traditional networks because, at the risk of stating the obvious for our international business audience, gone are the days when people tune into their three networks and or their cable provider and get everything they need to know. I assume your business platform is we're just scratching the surface of the evolution.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. I mean, obviously the incumbents in the sports industry are still incredibly important, and the dynamics of the sports business are such that, the contracts and the rights are owned in more or less a monopolistic fashion. So you work with them and they do a good job. But sports information, sports content is now pervasive. We're consuming sports content on our handsets, our tablets, on our computers. A lot of sports fans can cut the cable and still get access to a whole bunch of sports content. We're mobile, and we want to make sure our sports follows us. So, the modern sports fan is really in the know. And like you mentioned, I mean, what's going on with free agency? These are the kind of things that 20 years ago, 30 years ago, nobody knew what was going on. Nobody followed the draft. Nobody followed all these trades. Now we know everything. We know what Kevin Durant's mom is thinking about trades. It's pretty incredible. And as sports fans, there's a lot to keep up with, and you need some service to curate all of that and make you a more informed sports fan without, taking up your entire day.
So you have the perspective to answer this question maybe uniquely. So an MBA from Stanford in business, but obviously also a mechanical engineering background from Stanford as well. You started in Silicon Valley. You then created companies as well, which were offshoots of your knowledge. What was the real business spark and the first kind of set of steps that went into creating Thews?
Yeah, well, the first thing that I did was get a team together. There's no way to do anything alone. So I phoned a friend, actually more than one friend, a couple friends. And, we definitely have a great community here in Silicon Valley where, one friend of mine was a VP of engineering for a bunch of startup companies, and I roped him in. Another friend of mine was head of user experience and design for a bunch of other companies, and I roped him in. Another friend had been a business development guy in a bunch of startups, and, these are folks that I'd stayed in touch with for a number of years. Basically took them all out for lunch, told them about the idea, and we started working on the side. We didn't quit our day jobs. We just started coding, and you can launch a service now for an incredibly low amount of money, given what you can do in the cloud these days. So step number one, get a team. Well, actually, probably step number one, get an idea. Step number two, get a team. Step number three, develop something quickly, get it up, and get feedback from consumers, and then off to the races.
So off to the races. Give us the unique proposition surrounding and embracing Thuse and the barrier to entry for our competitors. Is it more technological? Is it more entrepreneurial? Is it more marketing? Is it more distributional, or a combination?
Yeah, I would say today it's a combination of technology and distribution. So on the technology front, we really have refined a set of algorithms that accurately measures the excitement of games and matches and tournaments as they're taking place. And we can do it tuned to the specific preferences of each individual fan, because we're each different in terms of what we like. And that's something that we've refined over the last 5 years, and we have a number of patents that have been filed and accepted by the patent office on that. So that certainly creates a technology barrier to entry. Not only the technology is difficult, but the patents are there to give us some protection. At the same time, we've created a distribution channel through our customers. So we have a number of customers who are the cable and satellite companies like Comcast and Charter and Dish Network. We've got a number of sports broadcaster customers like Fox Sports that are in our arsenal. We're international, so Liberty Global, which you can describe as the Comcast of Europe, is one of our customers, and we just launched with a customer in China. So we're getting out there and getting our platform to sports fans through a whole bunch of large entities that have access to customers. So the channel turns out to be a real key differentiator for us, and allows us to build out a business without having to spend huge marketing dollars.
The bottom line of all that, though, is that you're international as well. This is an international Bloomberg audience more than anything else. So give us some perspective on how that all works. Is it more of a distribution set of partners in the United States? Is it more of a distribution set of partners internationally, or is it a combination?
It's a combination, but the way that we've approached it is to start here in the United States, closer to home, a little easier to access those customers and visit them. But at the same time, as we've gained a foothold in the United States and kind of proven out the value to those customers, we've then reached out to customers that are overseas. And so I head over to Europe probably 3-4 times a year, make rounds there. I meet with European and Asian prospects here in the United States and some of the big conferences, and as they pass through town. I've had a couple of trips to Asia now as well to start sowing the seeds of business there. And as I mentioned, we have our first customer over in Asia as well. It's a little bit of a dance, because obviously sports is a global business. It's a terrific global business, and the characteristic of the sports fan globally doesn't change a lot. I mean, certainly the sports change as you go for different regions, but the dynamics of the sports industry are pretty much the same. And that's good. That means that we don't have to do a lot of special coding or technology for Asia versus Europe versus the United States. On the other hand, you don't want to get too far afield as a startup company, because there's only certain resources that you have to allocate, and trying to go after too many customers too quickly in too diverse a geography can certainly cause some problems and stretch you thin. So we're trying to balance that while growing internationally as quickly as we can.
Are you of significant benefit to leagues and teams as well as the content providers and the networks?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a great question, because we specifically started off going after cable and satellite providers because they carry the entire spectrum of sports and sports broadcasters. Then we went after the sports broadcasters because they carry multiple sports and multiple leagues. Now we're going after the leagues and the federations themselves, and we're getting a really good reception there. And obviously if you go after a specific league, they only carry about their league themselves and the teams in their leagues, but they have they typically have very strong hold on the rights and have the control over those rights, which are critical to what we do. And then ultimately we'll go after teams and athletes and other stakeholders in the sports business. But we've been very strategic, I guess, in terms of going after the biggest entities first, the ones that have the biggest challenges, mind you. I mean, there's a lot of threats to the cable and satellite companies with cord cutters. Sports is their number one source of content, source of reducing churn and keeping their subscribers in their house. And we really create that exemplary sports experience. So it really helps solve a problem in terms of reducing churn for them.
Assuming a significant number of our listeners internationally and domestically are sports enthusiasts, give us the 30-second elevator speech on why the consumer app or why Thuse is for them.
Yeah, so the way that your audience would get engaged with Thuse is through their service provider. And so depending on where they are, we might or might not be in the region just yet. And short of that, they can always go to the App Store or the Play Store for Android devices and download the Thuse app. It's a free app that gives them the personalized sports guide. And it's a way for them to get personalized notifications whenever games get really exciting, specifically the games that are meaningful to them in the leagues that are meaningful to them. And there's also a tune-in directory. The tune-in directory is right now in our app is just for the United States, but we'll be expanding that into other parts of the globe in fairly short order. But the app really, whether we have the tune-in information or not, it's going to alert you to these great games and keep you informed and keep you abreast of what's going on in the world of sports based on excitement and entertainment value, not just based on, what one voice in New York City might think. It's really tuned to each individual sports fan. And especially if you're overseas and you've got varied interests that span the globe, we can help you kind of sort through that without taking up a lot of your time.
Now, from the business perspective, and we'll just do this very quickly, your initial kind of monetization objectives. I'm not. This isn't a rate of return show, but how do you make money on this, and are you happy with where you are today?
Yeah, great question. So today we charge our customers, which are not consumers, they're the businesses that are business customers. We charge them a technology license fee to access our data, access our excitement ratings and headlines, notifications, and then our highlight reels, metadata. All of that is something that our business customers pay to us as either a quarterly fee or an annual fee, and it's a solid business model, something that our customers are used to doing, paying for value added. As they grow and add more services and more subscribers onto their service, we get paid more, so our business scales very nicely. As a startup company, it's a subscription model essentially from our customers. So the more we don't have to start from scratch every quarter and build up a revenue line from zero. It just keeps kind of flowing in, if you will, which is a really nice business model. Ultimately, in the long run, as we launch our automated highlight reels platform, there's going to be the opportunity to add in dynamic ads, targeted ads, advertising, and sponsorship, so our business model can expand beyond strict technology license fees and augment that with the brands and advertisers add into the platform. So it's something we're looking forward to in terms of expanding the breadth of our technology and the breadth of our business model. And as a startup company, all these sources of income give us more and more stability as we grow the business, again, on a global basis.
Ladies and gentlemen, it gives us a short, mid, and long-term answer to the business question. How could you possibly go wrong with that? Final question, and I'm going to go out on a limb a little bit on this based on your Chicago accent. I assume you're a Cub fan because everybody is. Are they going to win the World Series this year?
That is such a loaded question because I've been a Cubs fan for life. And, look, I'm resistant to give this answer, but I'm going to have to give it since you went on the spot. Are they going to win? No, they're not, because they are the Cubs, and I love them for it.
Wow. That's a great answer, ladies and gentlemen. There he is, CEO Warren Packard. Rick Horrow will be back in a couple of minutes.